Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping by today. I'm back with a new layout and video for Hip Kit Club, and I'm using the 2019 September kits again. And I am in the mood to do a rainbow color scheme. So I went through all of the pattern papers in the main kit. Some of them I've already used, but I just picked out ones that had all the rainbow colors on them. And I'm going to use this cut file today. It's one of the exclusive cut files for Hip Kit Club for September, and I'm just going to start with backing all of those open letters for the word beautiful. So I just kind of started sorting through the papers here, and I'm going to just pick out the little sections of each paper and trace it with a pencil and then cut it out and glue it behind the letter. So this is one of my favorite techniques to do with a cut file, is back it with all the pattern papers, because I think this is a fun way to get lots of color and lots of different patterns on your layout in small increments. And so, you know, you're not going overboard or making it too busy. So once I fussy cut it out, I just erase the pencil lines. And so now it's the perfect size. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of glue around the edges there and just stick it down. I know a lot of people do this technique. It's been pretty popular for quite a while, and this one didn't take very long at all because those letters are pretty easy to cut and there aren't that many of them. So yeah, I just kind of went through and chose colors or papers that would make the rainbow, and that's all I'm going to do here for all of the letters for beautiful. And then I was thinking about coloring the word life with some of the Lindy's Stamp Gang powders, but I wind up changing my mind and I leave it white. But I do something fun with it, I think. All right, so there all the letters are done. I love how that looks. I love all the different patterns. Some of them are kind of solid. I'm going to use this Pink Fresh Studio pattern paper for my background. It's pretty much what I would consider a white background, but it's got a really soft light blue pattern on it. It makes a great background. So I'm just going to use some white gesso here to smudge around, and this is going to prep my paper for a lot of mixed media. I'm going to wind up adding quite a bit of it to the background, and so I want to make sure that the paper is protected and all that liquid's not going to just soak right through. All right, so what I decided to do with the word life is create a pink shadow behind it. So in order to do that, I'm just going to do it the manual way here and just trace around the part of the paper that I want to use, and then I'm just going to cut it out with scissors. I know there's probably a way to do this on your Cameo, but I just felt like tracing and cutting. So I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to place it offset kind of behind the word life, and you're going to be able to see this fun little pink and coral shadow behind it. And I think that creates a really fun effect, and it really makes the word life stand out because I did want to leave it white. All right, so I've got it cut out, and I did try it on top of the word life just to see what it would look like, but I felt like it was too much color. So I tried it underneath, and I do love how that looks because life stands out, but you've got that little hint of pink underneath it. All right, so now that my gesso is all dry, I'm going to get to work on my background here, and this takes me quite a while. So a lot of this video is me working on this background, but I wanted to leave it in to show you how long it takes me to do this, I guess you could say. I wanted primarily this bold blue behind the word beautiful, and it's a gorgeous blue. We get it in the color kit this month. It's called Tweedledee Denim, and it's a flat magical, which means it does not have any shimmer in it. And this is from Lindy's Stamp Gang, and it's a powder. So all I did was scoop off a little bit of the powder, or scoop out some of the powder, and just dump it on the page, and added water to it, and then I just used my brush to start spreading it around. I pulled out a couple of other of the blue powders that we got in previous kits. You can see there that's a little bit more of a lighter blue. And I just started mixing and matching, and like I said, the bulk of the background I wanted to be blue. So that is going to be the biggest chunk here. So I let that layer dry, and then I'm going to come back in with more. And you can see how bold and dark that color is. However, when this dries, it is significantly lighter than you see here, because when you first mix it with the water, you almost think, oh my gosh, this is way too much. But when it dries, it doesn't even look like the same color. It is very, very several shades lighter. So it took me a while to get the blue that I wanted. You can kind of see here how I'm just kind of turning the page this way and that, letting the color run and blend. But look how much lighter it is. It's almost like I didn't even use that color. And I don't know why it does that. I don't know if it's the gesso or if I'm adding too much water or if that's just the nature of the powders. I'm not sure. But I didn't want it to be that light. I wanted it to be darker. So I thought I would add in a couple more things. I pulled out one of the dark blue sprays that we got a couple months ago. It's called Blue Hawaiian Blue, and you can see that it's pretty bold as well. So I sprayed that down. I pulled out another lighter blue and added that in. And I just kind of went to mixing and matching and did a little bit of dabbing. I tried to let it dry as is, so I wouldn't spread it out as much to see if it would dry the actual color that it is, but it still dried a lot lighter. And you'll see here in just a second that when it dries, you can see there it's a lot lighter. So I just let it go for now, and I'm going to keep working on it. I put the cut file back on top of it to see how it looks, and I really like how much blue I have on there. I did want to add some yellow tones and some pink shades, so I pulled out the glittering gold that we got in this month's kit. And I also used some of the bolder golden yellow spray that we got a couple months ago, and I mixed that in as well. And that yellow spray is Yellow Rose of Texas. So if you've been getting the color kits for the past several months, then you probably have most of these colors. And I kind of tried to put the yellow in that little open area so it wouldn't turn a green color when mixed with the blue, even though the blue is pretty much dry. I come in with a pink spray. This is a very bold, dark pink spray that we got a couple months ago. I know I keep saying that. It's Hibiscus Rose, and I just sort of do a little bit of splattering, a little bit of rolling my paper towels over it to kind of dry it up, see how it looks. Because I did, like I said, I did want the main color to be blue, but I wanted to darken up that little yellow area. It turned out to be way lighter than I wanted. I wanted it to be more of that golden, darker yellow that matches the A in the cut file. So I pulled out the golden sleigh bells powder that we got in a previous kit as well. And the interesting thing about a lot of these powders is, it looks like a yellow powder, but when you start to add water to it and spread it around with your brush, it's got hints of different colors in it. I know that blue powder that we get this month, there's hints of pink in it, and it's really cool to watch it activate with the water. So I'm adding some more of the pink here. This is going to create a slight purple color, but once this is all said and done, I think the background looks really cool. It just took me a long time to achieve the colors that I wanted. I had to keep adding layer after layer after layer because it just kept drying lighter than I wanted, but I do like how this looks. And I love how it looks when the cut file goes back on top of it. So you'll see here in just a minute that when this layer dries, it's still lighter than I wanted. Every time I do it, I think, okay, this is going to be the layer that gets me the darker colors, but it still winds up drying lighter. But I like how that purple-ish color looks in the middle. I think that looks really cool. It's starting to look kind of marbled, and I love that. And I just keep going. I keep adding. I keep using the brush. So there it dried, and you can see half of the pink disappeared. I don't know where it went. But so what I decided to do was let it dry, and I'm just going to darken up the areas with my gelatos because I'd probably spent a good 45 minutes to an hour on this background, and it's time to move on. I love making backgrounds, but at some point, you have to move on. So I pulled out my gelatos in the pinks. I have some darker blues here, and I'm just going to add a little bit of, I just scribble it down a little bit, use my finger to smudge it, a little bit of water. If you've never used gelatos, they're fun. These are from my stash. They don't come in the kits, but I find these at Michael's, and you can still get them online also. But they're kind of like little tubes of lipsticks, and you just smudge it down. A little bit goes a long way, and you can activate it with water, or you could just smudge it dry as is. But yeah, it's good for something like this, for adding in shades that you want, little shadows or darker spots here and there. And that's all I'm doing here. And I think this gives it the final touch of what I was going for, because I did want that denim color of blue. Add a little bit of the dark golden yellow using kind of a mustardy color gelato, and a gold one. I do have a metallic gold one over there. So anyway, there's my background. I love how that looks. It's finally all dry, and I put the cut file back on top of it, and I just love it. I do wind up turning the entire background though, and I like how it looks better this way. And I wasn't even thinking of doing that, but once I played around with it, that's how I liked it. So I decided to go with 4 little tiny square color photos today. Surprise, surprise, they're more selfies. What can I say? I love scrapping selfies, not just of me. I don't mean just me, but of me and my girls. And this is a couple of selfies of my youngest daughter giving me giant neck hugs and smoochy kisses, which I love. So yeah, I thought I would print those in color and do something different. I know I seem to be using a lot of black and white lately, so I went with color. So now I'm going to start to fussy cut. These are little tiny pink flowers from this Dear Lizzie floral paper, which is so pretty. I cut out lots of the little pink ones with the leaves, and then I'm just going to start with that. All right, so to back my photos, I'm going to use some tissue paper here from my stash and just create little bits of messy borders behind the pictures there. And I'm also going to add some adhesive foam behind them to give them some dimension. Since my background is, you know, heavily mixed media, it's not going to lay completely flat. And so I feel like adding the foam behind things, it kind of helps it to flatten things out. Whereas if I just glue things completely flat, they're also going to kind of warp, if that makes sense. So I like how this looks. I'm going to do 2 pictures above beautiful and then stagger 2 underneath the cut file like that, and then start to layer in embellishments. I'm going to start with the little pink flowers that I fussy cut, and then I'm going to go through all the embellishments that we got in the kits and see what I can use. And there's tons of colors to choose from because I went with the rainbow color scheme, which is always my favorite. I do decide to raise the entire cut file up using some adhesive foam as well, and I think that creates a fun shadow effect, and it just gives it some dimension and kind of pops it up off the page, which I also love. So I'm going to get everything situated. I know that that's where everything is going to go, and so I know I've said this before, but one of the good things about using a big cut file like this is it kind of dictates for you where you can put your pictures and where you have room left for embellishments. And in this case, for me, in this layout, I know exactly where my pictures are going to go, but I've got so much room left for embellishments, but I don't want to cover up a lot of this background because I absolutely love it. And you saw how long it took me to make it, so I don't want to cover up a lot of it with embellishments. So I'm going to be very picky and choosy about what I use and what size of things I'm going to use. So before I glue anything else down, I'm going to add in my thread just for some extra pops of texture and color. Since I don't have any yellow to the right side of the photos there up top, I'm going to tuck in some yellow thread there, and then I'm going to darken up with a little bit of the darker blue thread over here to the left. And I love that pop of that darker blue there. I'm going to go with pink thread down here at the bottom. And I just kind of loop it up and smudge it or stick it or tuck it up underneath there. It's never perfect, but I do kind of work with it to get the look that I want. And now I'm going to glue the photos down because I know that nothing else is really going to go behind them. I do go through the embellishments. I'm going to use a couple of items from the Paige Evans Truly Grateful collection here. These are from the journaling tags set. This little piece that says laugh, I think I may use that. I wind up not using it, but I do use the piece that I tore first. This is Our Story. I'm going to tuck that in behind that top photo there. And then I went through all of the Pretty Little Studio floral and leaf die cuts and picked out one of the bigger floral pieces there that I'm going to tuck behind the photo, as well as a couple of other little flowers. I'm going to fussy cut this one out and only use the pink flowers, and I'm going to use that as a layer also. I don't want the yellow sprigs or the fall type leaves because this is not a fall layout. So I didn't want it to look fallish. So I'm just going to keep tucking things in. I'm going to use this sticker from the Pink Fresh Studio Office Hours collection. It's the perfect light green color. I do wind up moving it from where I just put it there. I use a couple stickers from that sticker sheet that match and that coordinate with what I'm doing here. I'm going to use a couple of stickers from this really pretty iridescent Dear Lizzie, She's Magical sticker sheet. If you haven't seen that sticker sheet yet, it's so pretty. It's so shimmery and shiny. I'm going to use a little puffy sticker here from the Truly Grateful puffy sticker sheet, and then I'm going to make sure that everything is glued down because nothing likes to stick to gesso, and then I've got so many things layered in between each other here. I want to make sure that they are all stuck together. So I do add glue behind everything, and I'm getting close to being done here. I do add the word adore from the Truly Grateful phrase puffy stickers here, and I'm going to use mostly because it's gold, and I felt like gold was a fun addition. I fussy cut out a couple more flowers from that Dear Lizzie floral pattern paper, some light blue ones, and some of the darker navy bluish color ones because I felt like they matched that darker blue that I was going for. And then I'm just going to glue those around the page. And I like those little blue flowers because they're so tiny. It did take a couple minutes to fussy cut those out, but I'm glad I did because I was able to scatter those around the page and give pops of that dark blue color all over, which I like. I went through this Dear Lizzie little sticker sheet here, and I thought about doing tone on tone on top of the beautiful, but it was just too much. I didn't want to do any. The more I tried it, the more I thought, no, it's going to just basically take away from the word beautiful and make it look too busy. So I just stuck a couple of them here and there in a couple of spots just to add a couple more little details. But I didn't want to go overboard. I didn't want this to be too busy because it's pretty busy. It's pretty colorful and there's a lot going on, and I don't want to add so much that it takes away from the photos or, you know, starts to cover up any more of the background, because I love how this looks now with all that pretty watercolor peeking through and around everything, and I still want that to be something that you can see, you know. I did add a little bit of stamping. This is the exclusive stamp set. I pulled out a gold ink pad from my stash, and I used this tiny little heart. It's so cute and small, and I just stamped some gold hearts. It's kind of hard to see here in the bright light, but I promise you can see them. And they're very subtle matte gold. They match that Adore sticker or Alpha stickers, and I did add glue behind those, by the way. I know I didn't film that, but I did add glue. One of the last things I'm going to do is go back to that glittering gold Lindy's, and I'm going to mix it up and add some gold splatters around the layout. And then I'm going to add my lines in, and I'm going to use my metallic gold pen for my journaling, and that is going to wrap it up. There's the final layout. I love how this turned out. I love the background. I love the rainbow colors. I just love how it turned out, and I hope you did too. I hope you stuck with me through this struggle of a background. But I do love the end results, and you can see here all the dimension, all the texture, and all of the fun embellishments and colors and details. And please let me know if you have any questions about any of the things that I used or the techniques or anything that I forgot to mention. I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I did take lots of close-ups, so Yeah, they're just going to keep coming. I hope that's not too many for you, but I get carried away when I start taking the close-ups because I want to make sure I get everything up close. So you guys have a great week. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.